I'm very happy to have another young Indian, another smiling face with us. Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Right now, we have with us Prachi Charde. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Prachi.
Hello, sir. My name is Prachi Charde. I have graduated in 2023 from the economics department of Lady Shri College. And I really want to take this initiative to, first of all, thank sir for giving me this opportunity to present my views, my aspirations, my challenges as a young economist from India. I'm 21 years old, and whatever my opinions are, my aspirations are my own personal ones. But of course, it signifies a bit of my generation's views as well, because we've had a shared experience these years. So, so we'll start with where, why, and how I got into this field. I was I was in class 10th, and it all started with a news article actually. So in school, we used to get these newspapers distributed to all of the students because school wanted to inculcate the habit of reading in us. So we got this newspaper, and I was in class 10th, and there was this tiny strip of news somewhere on the second or third page, and the headline caught my eye. It said, Mysuru, middle class Mysuru girl gets to IMF as chief.
Okay.
And that was, yeah, and that was because there were a lot of keywords in that headline or title uh, that caught my eye. First of all, it was middle class because I am a middle class person, and I mean my background economically, and also IMF as in the finance as a field which is male dominated. Reading something like that caught my eye, and it was none other than Miss Geeta Gopinath.
Of course.
And I read about her story where she started from the small city, and then she traveled to Delhi where she did her education from, and I completely got enamored by her story. Seriously, I wanted to read more about her, what she did, where she did it from, what were her motivations, and so I started reading about her. And in class 10th, all of the 15-year-olds all over India are in the midst of choosing their careers. It's basically the pinning point where they can choose
Mm.
their stream where they want to head on to. And I had always been an academically inclined student, so it was quite natural. Everyone was expecting me to take either medical or engineering, just
Mm.
like everyone else in India.
Yeah.
But I read her story, and I got completely enamored by her, and I wanted to. And it wasn't just the job or the position or the money. It was the kind of the prestige, the respect. It was also her intellect. I wanted to be her. I just didn't want to, I just didn't want her job or profile. I wanted to become her, her intellectual capacity, all of that. And so I made it my dream that I want to pursue this. And so for the next 2 years, I worked really hard to get into the same pedigree as she was. And I got into Lady Shri College, economics department. Now I was always a very optimistic child. I had these role models, these values, these ethics, and all of these key learnings. Respect your elders, make friends, make a good group, and all of that. And I was certain that I would become an economist, but something changed, and this is quite personal. 2020, my board exams had happened, and we also had the result, and the admissions has also happened online. I
Yeah.
got the admission letter. It was online. I got the admission letter, and it all happened during lockdown.
Yeah.
And I was 18-year-old. Nobody knew how long the lockdown would last. Nobody knew how long the pandemic is going to last. In the beginning days, it was just a news article for us. It was just something on the channel, something that is happening globally,
Yeah.
something that might pass.
Yeah.
But slowly and repeatedly, it became quite evident to everyone that this is not just a news. this is not just a news headline, this is real. This we are living through a historical moment that has the potential, that has the capability of wiping out humanity. That was the gravity of the situation. And as a as an 18-year-old kid who has high hopes for college, who has high hopes for, dreams of becoming something in life later on and inspiring other young girls as well, I in lockdown in a room, I completely locked myself in a room because I had nowhere to go, and the news just shattered me. But it wasn't just my own personal experience, it was happening with everyone. So sharing it with someone also uh, sort of became challenging because it was a shared experience for everyone, and everyone has sort of their own personal mechanisms of how they fought it out. I I feel like I changed. I how do I say it? I I wanted to s- I wanted to keep myself relevant with news. I wanted to know what is happening globally, but everything was just negative. Everywhere I saw it was atrocities. Everywhere, every situation seemed so bleak,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of it as a young growing child, almost on the cusp of adulthood, uh, when you are faced with so much challenges, it kind of shape shifts your mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And that what happened with me. It wasn't just a month, it wasn't just a week, it was for whole 2 years. It lasted for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened during that time was we saw the death count on the news going up and up. People were dying, uh, businesses were running out of money, they were not profitable, migrant workers were migrating back to their villages, and nobody was taking their data at all because all of the publishing houses or media houses were collapsing in their own sense. The the healthcare system was completely overburdened. um there were so many atrocities. Education had come to a stall. Of course, people were trying to get back online and doing it. And there were so many personal losses as well. People, so many close ones. People had lost so many close ones. And and I just lost the sense of purpose in life.
Mm.
Think when you're a young person, or what are the motivators in life? To have a good family, to take care of your parents, to make money, to save some for a house. None of all of it just shattered for me because when an event like that happens in your life, which is so uncertain and so unexpected out of the blue, and you can't anticipate it, the kind of the depth of loss that you would witness, right? And nobody could prepare for it. We
No,
can
that's
try as much as we can, but nobody can prepare for it. And so what do you do in that kind of a situation? So as a college student, people, students usually have so many aspirations that they will join a job or an organization, they will go into research, they will create impact. But none of it worked while during those years when actually impact or value creation was needed. And so it made me a pessimist. I
mm-hmm.
saw negativity in everything. I saw not negativity, but I didn't see the positive side in anything. Of course, the world wasn't rosy before. The world wasn't perfect earlier either. The
Yeah.
world has always had its pros and cons. That's right. But for an 18-year-old who is so ambitious, I am 21 now, and I have completely changed as a person because I only see the downsides of things now. Before someone can convince me that there are positives too to that. So those 2 years, those 2 years were just insane. I saw a lot of atrocities, and I can count on it because I don't want to keep this as a just a personal anecdote. I can count the kind of incidents that I saw because number one was in terms of money. money is never a factor for motivator in my life now, which is one biggest factor for young people these days. It's not for me because I saw businesses run out of profits then.
Mm-hmm.
Small businesses, big businesses, everyone ran out of money. The small businesses who had informal workers working for them as employees, they could not pay salaries beyond 3 months, and they
Yeah.
had to let go of them. And how, as a human, what kind of uh, how do you see yourself? How do you face yourself back in the mirror when you know that so many people dependent on you, were dependent on you, and now you can't help them? You're helpless now. And big corporations as well, they ran out of profits, but of course they were able to get back on track after these 2 years. So it was kind of okay for them. But then we can't just close our eyes to the fact that only 20% of the people working force is formal sector.
Yeah.
What about the rest? What about the 80%? What about the rest of the people who are in the informal sector, right? These were
Yeah.
the ones who had to actually face it. So the gravity of the situation was quite worse.
Yeah.
That's one. So money is never. I completely lost motivation for money
Mm-hmm.
making, and second was interpersonal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When you're young, you have your friend circle, you trust in your parents, you trust in your relatives that you always, they can always have your back. But situations like these, like pandemic, and thank you for providing me this platform that I can actually bring it up
Yeah,
now.
please.
That
It's the whole point.
why during interpersonal relations, when you're young, you believe on them, you trust them, and you can count on them. But the thing is ki, during that time, every phone call was a dread.
Oh.
It could either be a friend asking for money, it could either be a relative who was hospitalized. Everyone had crunch in savings. Nobody knew how long this is going to last. That was the uncertainty of the situation. Nobody knew how long your savings would last. Nobody knew what to save and what to spend on. You it was Pandemic actually brought out the intrinsic side, the primal instinct of human nature, which is to save you, yourself, and your kin. That
Mm-hmm.
is it.
Mm-hmm.
And so all sorts of this mentality, that all sorts of values that we inculcate in our kids, that there is a society, that you need to live in solidarity,
Mm.
none of all of it shattered in me. There
Okay.
was hostility even when you were in your neighborhood or in your park. There was hostility amongst each other. Even while you're vaccinated, you've got your vaccine, even then there's a sense of hostility towards each other. Then you might, of course, there's caution, but um a completely lost sense in interpersonal relationships that back then, and all sense of trust building, all of the foundations were completely broken for me.
Mm.
And these are the two motivations for life for young people.
Mm.
um and the third one would be career, and where do you see yourself, and we'll talk about it later. And so after that, I joined college. Third year, campus had reopened, the gates had reopened, and I finally reunited with my batchmates.
Yeah.
And it got me back to track because the only motivation I started economics was because of Miss Geeta Gopinath, and I wanted to be someone like her. And so every time I would sit in the classrooms, I would ask myself, and I would wonder, did she sit here? These old classrooms, these old benches. I
Yeah.
would go to the library and I would pick up Devraj Ray book or pick up Hal Varian, and the issue dates behind those on the back side of the books were from 1980s and 1990s.
Yeah.
And I would wonder if this was issued by her,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's not a single spot in LSR that I've at least in the old building, that I've not visited and not wondered that if she was here or not. Like a total fangirl moment.
Yeah.
So the whole 1 year passed around like that. We had fun moments. We had some difficult subjects as well, like econometrics, very dreadful. Somehow did it, but then um, the final question that comes after in your third year or a final year is placements, or where next? What's
Yeah.
next?
What's next?
do you do next then? After your graduation, what do you do next? And when you come, and I am very grateful to be a part of such an institution that provides you with so much opportunities. But I lacked any intrinsic motivation there anyway. Like I could not even pretend it in the interviews while they were happening. So uh, corporates came for job placements in college, and I could not convince them. Of course they wanted to of course I'm capable. I do not question my capability of working with a team,
Yeah.
but what motivates me for promotion, or what motivates me for making more I know these companies are money minting companies, and they say that they create value, and they say that they create impact in the society, but that's just very far fetched. And I became a very nihilistic person in the sense that I would just look at what's the point.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and and I don't know, I could not come out of that phase. A lot of how do I say it, I've hmm, so I wanted to join I wanted to join some companies. I wanted to work. I wanted to get on to the next phase of my life after college. But then convincing my own self and then convincing them was a difficult part.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not saying that everyone who works for corporates is intrinsically motivated by money or creating value. I'm just saying that uh, I I sort of didn't see any. I did.
There was no spark for you. There was no spark at all.
There was no spark, and
You
it
you
was
need a you need a spark, it seems, and there was no spark there.
that that's true.
Yeah.
And I also was very fearful of the uncertainty that comes with corporates and
Yeah.
layoffs.
Yeah.
And there was also an advent of AI back then,
Yeah.
when we were in last year. So it was quite unpredictable in the nature, in the sense of the work profiles that we will have. You know, because most of the job profiles that come for economic grads are consulting MBB firms, and then there's business analysts, and then there's account managers and other and business analysts mostly. So I was capable, but I could not convince them or myself to why I should join an
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
And so I was my head was caught up in the big questions as to why are humans like this, and stuff like that. And academia was an option because I saw some of my batchmates joining some of the very great colleges abroad, even in India, like DSC, JNU, and even abroad they joined very good colleges like Boston University, Paris School, stuff like that. And I, I I decided that, you know what, if I can't solve the humanitarian crisis, at least what I can do is study economics and then find a way around it, you know.
Yeah.
That's the way to go to get
Yeah.
into academia and then solve it
Yeah.
through
Okay.
the process. So I started applying for colleges, and I started writing my applications after a year. And again, I was faced with this uncertain. I think I did not have conviction in the environment or in future.
Mm.
I'm so affected by uncertainty. Of course, life is not predictable, right? It was never predictable before, but the kind of blow that I have seen is just even during the formative years. I've seen that kind of blow during my
Mm-hmm.
formative years.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of I I don't know. So
Okay, anyway, tell us what you did, what your further choices were. So you were not sparked by corporate academia, seemed like who knows, then what?
so I'm still in the dilemma as to what I should do with this I definitely know that I want to do something with relating to economics because that's something I know I can
Mm,
do.
mm,
I'm capable of doing.
yeah.
Um, I am hoping to write some exams for, although I've given some certain exams for economics courses in India.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but eventually in future, um, I think I'll uh, I think I'll write an exam for Reserve Bank.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I can do because I even if everything fails, the
Mm,
Reserve Bank is always going to be there, right?
right. Hopefully.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
because it's a central bank.
Yeah.
So that's like a small, tiny ambition for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
just to stay stable. That's
Yeah.
I think that's what I want in
Yeah.
life right now,
Yeah.
stability.
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is that you still can't decide what sparks you. Still, there's nothing that looks like, hey, I must do this, or this is something that's right for me. That's still missing, right?
But I know it's definitely something relating to economics. That's
Yeah, okay, fine. All right. No, I'm so glad that, you have explained to us so clearly what the main events that have changed your thinking, affected you. And it's good to listen to you. And you said you were nervous, but you don't appear to be nervous at all now. So, uh, anything else that you can think of that you want to add here?
so I think I'm certain that I will pursue academia, maybe not soon, but later in life, because
Yeah.
I think the concept of, I was thinking about earlier this day that the concept of capitalism itself needs to be challenged.
Okay.
Because whatever events I've witnessed in life and have affected me what is more or less because of capitalism and
Mm-hmm.
capitalist notions, because profit driven and utility maximization functions, we are moving towards utilitarianism, right?
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be challenged. We
Mm-hmm.
are at the advent of AI,
Mm-hmm.
where it might become regenerative AI and has its own capability of its thinking, right? This notion of capitalism has to be challenged. And I think if I ever pursue academia, which I will, of course, once in my life, I will challenge it. And we need to come up with something better. And it's high time we do. So that's something.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add here?
Uh, no, sir.
Okay. I
I
mean,
think,
I'll talk to you offline, but this is not my channel. This is your channel. Anything else you want to say?
um, I mean, I have a lot of hope for future.
Uh-huh.
I've seen a lot of atrocities, and it definitely made me nihilistic, and it made me pessimistic to some certain extent.
Yeah.
But that's not the whole picture.
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful at least 1 or 2 decades down the line with when we are more technically
Mm.
adapt
Mm.
adept.
Mm.
So I'm hopeful for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's end it here today. I'll talk to you offline, but let's end it here. I'll be back with another young person or an expert, and I'm really glad that Prachi laid her heart out, because this is the whole point of this channel, to give the young people a chance to talk about what they want to talk about in the way they want to talk about it, without interference or guidance from seniors, adults. So thank you, Prachi, for being so clear and honest, and bye for now.